Hi, Carlos, can you see the display for the slides?
I see the BRD for Charter SCH.
Yeah, Dan, we can't see the slides currently.
Everyone online, we're working on some technical problems, so give us a few minutes, please. Thank you.
This is the age of technology issues. I think we can see the screen now.
Are we good?
This is Hans. I can see it.
And I can see it.
Well, good morning, everyone. I think we are ready to start. It's okay. Just kidding. All right, I think we, for the second time, I think we are good to start. Vice President Montier.
Hans, if you're there, I think we probably need you. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence, and then I will go over some housekeeping items. So if you could please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Before we start the roll call, I will be conducting the meeting as President Close is participating remotely. Some housekeeping items regarding hybrid meetings. So we anticipate that members Ruiz and Foster and President Close are participating remotely. And for board members that are present in person, there are microphones directly in front of you. When they are read, the mic is not live. Please click on the mic when you want to speak. The mic will turn green and then you can speak. Once you are done, please push the mic again so that it turns red. For those board members participating remotely, please stay on mute. If you would like to speak, please push the hand icon to indicate you would like to speak. This will help me know that you would like to say something, and I will make sure you have an opportunity to speak. For charters or applicants on the agenda that are participating remotely, please stay muted until your item is called. Once your item is called, the board staff will introduce the item, and then I will call on you to address the board. At that time, you may unmute yourselves. For applicants and charters on the agenda participating in person, once your item is called, the board staff will provide a brief introduction and answer any questions board members might have for staff. Then I will request that representatives from the charter come up to the podium to address the board. One more housekeeping item. Paul Revere submitted a complete audit. Therefore, item J2D is being removed from the agenda. Ashley, roll call, please.
President Close,
Here.
Vice President Montiers,
Present.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Here.
Miss Barr,
Here.
Dr. Crockett, Miss Foster,
Here.
Miss Jones,
Here.
Mr. Ruiz,
Here.
Mr. Stratton, Mr. Swanson.
Here.
With that, we have a quorum.
Wonderful. Welcome, everyone. And without further ado, I'd like to move to D, Superintendent's Report, and Superintendent Designee Miller.
Good morning, all. Thank you. November Superintendent's Report. Most important at this time of year, Superintendent Horn would like to express his gratitude to all those involved in charter schools, our educators, families, stakeholders, and students, and all of the hard work that is done each day to serve these students. Also, a big congratulations to the charter school community as our ADE letter grades have been released. The charter schools have again outperformed many other public schools with 80% A and B charter schools across the state. So he's incredibly proud of that work representing charter schools here in Arizona. A couple of reminders, as you know, Superintendent Horn has a high priority on character education. So if you have not seen the trustworthiness poster contest available for all Arizona students, please check out the character education page on the ADE website for more information. Those posters are due by December 13th. Also, please mark your calendars for Tuesday, April 22nd. A character education field trip is in the works. So details forthcoming, but go ahead and block that date on your calendar. Thank you so much. That concludes this month's report.
Thank you. Item E, Executive Director's Report. Ashley?
Good morning, President Close, Vice President Montier, Superintendent Designee Miller, and board members. It is really good to see all of you. I know it's been quite a while and a few months since we last met. But to start, I'm so pleased to introduce to you our newest board member, Binky Michelle Jones. Binky is the Senior Vice President and Charter Representative for Ombudsman Educational Services, a division of Chance Light. She brings over 30 years of experience in education and business administration. Throughout her career, she has focused on advancing education for at-risk youth, as she is deeply passionate about supporting students and advancing alternative education. Binky, I know from board staff and the board, we want to welcome you, and we are so excited to work with you on the board. Would you like to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Yes, I would. Thank you. President Close, Superintendent Designee Miller, board members. First off, I look forward to getting to know all of you. And my hope is I am happy to serve the charter community. And I look forward to, being able to have a voice for, all of those that are charter operators out there that are continuing to do great work every day, and to be able to be there for board staff and to serve the community. So thank you. I appreciate it, and look forward to the journey. Thank you.
Thank you. I know we're excited too. So as for the Student Advisory Council, authorizers, including our office, face a unique challenge in effectively engaging with the charter school community. The National Association of Charter School Authorizers, which we refer to as NACSA, has a concept of community-centered authorizing, which emphasizes that authorizers can create the most effective education systems by prioritizing the needs to communicate to communities that they serve. A crucial part of this community includes charter school parents and students. To address this, and as we have communicated to board staff seated the Student Advisory Council as a first step in building a stronger connection with charter school students and providing them with an opportunity to be heard. This initiative aligns with NACSA's key principles, recognizing that the untapped potential with communities and expanding engagement with both parents and students. The students volunteering on the council have created a video to introduce themselves. They are an incredible group of students, and staff has really enjoyed learning from them over the past few months. Dan, can you bring up the video? Fingers crossed. You got this. Sorry, we're switching screens. One moment. As you can tell, that those are incredible students, and we just really have appreciated all their time and effort they put into this effort. And moving on to the next item under the executive director's report, I do want to give you an update on letter grades. I know Superintendent Designee Miller did provide you some information, but just to go a little bit further into what we're seeing for the FY 2024 letter grades. On October 25th, 2024, the Arizona State Board of Education did release the FY 24 letter grades for nearly 490 of our charters. So that does not include the schools that are under school civic academic goals and small schools. But in terms of academic performance, we did unfortunately have two schools that received an F letter grade. One has consolidated with another school. So we're really only working with one school and have had incredible conversations with that school already. But on a happier and more successful note, we had nearly 81% of our schools were rated an A or a B. 190 were rated an A, 205 were rated a B, and then 94% of our schools met our standard, which that means that they're A, B, or C. So our portfolio is doing well and it's continuing to improve. The appeals window did close November 15th with 9 schools currently under review. Once those appeals are finalized, we'll provide additional information about academic performance under the portfolio to the board and for the state as a whole. Additionally, academic dashboards for charters are expected to be published by the end of November. Those schools with pending appeals will not receive their dashboards until the SBE, or State Board of Education, makes their final decision, most likely in January. Okay, then moving on to my update about approved amendments and termination agreements. As you know, every board meeting, I provide you an update on all of the amendments that I approve as the executive director that you've given me authority to approve. And then I also give you updates as to what terminations or surrender agreements President Close has approved since the last meeting. Since the last meeting, we have had none or 0 schools surrender their charter. We had 0 AOIs. We had 144 amendments approved. And those are typically more notifications of changing of board members or like locations, things like that. Our team, our CSA team, has been very busy as we are moving into our latter part of the year, but we have completed 6 first-year reviews, 3 second-year reviews, 3 internal reviews, and we are beginning to work on our renewals. For school visits, this would include visits that would be pop-ins associated with our interval review and also unannounced visits that are just random, and also our specialized accountability visits. We've had 38. And my last update to you, we only have one legal action to update you on, and that is for Mountain Oak. Mountain Oak did execute their consent agreement with us due to operational noncompliance. And board members, that is all I have to present to you. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay. Any questions from anyone online? Well, on behalf of the entire board, Binky, welcome. We are thrilled to have you. And thank you so much, Ashley. That was wonderful. Mostly good news. So that's great. Next, line F, call to the public. We have 1 written public comment that was received for item J3 regarding City Center or collaborative learning, which was included on the posted agenda. No other public comments or requests to speak were received. Anybody have any questions? Okay. G, consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented. I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
All right.
Second that motion.
Wonderful. We have a motion and a second. Ashley, can you please take roll call?
Vice President Monteith,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crock, oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Crock is not here. Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Wonderful. All right. Item H, charter amendments. Presentation and consideration for American Leadership Academy's 2 new school requests will be taken together. And I would like to welcome Shannon up.
Good morning. American Leadership Academy, Inc. has submitted 2 separate new school amendment requests. One to add American Leadership Academy Buckeye, which will serve grades K-12 in Buckeye, and one to add American Leadership Academy Casa Grande, which will serve grades K through 12 in Casa Grande. Both schools are planned to open in fiscal year 2027. The charter holder does not meet the staff recommendation criteria for either request because 3 of its current schools do not perform at or above the average performance of schools within 5 miles of their current locations, as detailed in the executive summaries. And I'm available for questions if you have them.
Board members, do we have any questions for Shannon? No? Okay. Then I would like to call up the representatives from American Leadership Academy.
Terribly complicated. Mr. President Close and Vice President Montier, Superintendent Miller, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Ralph Pugh. I currently serve as the president of the board of directors, the governing board for American Leadership Academy. And as indicated, we're grateful to be here today to share our thoughts with you on our request for 2 site expansions and amendments to our charter. As members of the board, we see the school expansion. We now have more than 16,000 students in our system. And we're totally confident that part of that success and the feeling is that the communities we enter into are very receptive to our mission statement and our purpose. So our mission statement is to support families by doing 3 essential things. 1, providing high level of education experience for all the students. 2, providing that to as many students as possible. And 3, to do it in a moral and wholesome environment. That's our goal. Those are our objectives. And those methodologies and issues have been well received everywhere we go. So we're glad to be here today. I'm going to turn this now over to the people who really know what they're doing, okay, from American Leadership Academy to answer the questions that exist and request the site expansions. First, we have Amaris Lewis, who is our director of our chief academic officer, and she will present her thoughts on this issue. Then we have Leilani Hunsaker, who is here, who is our chief community outreach representative. She's got great experience in having children at ALA and being the director of one of our K through 6 campuses and former member of the board. And we'll also have Mr. Michael Way, who is the director of our business development. So if those 3 can take just a minute and answer questions and present this to you, they can do that now. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Good morning, President Close, Vice President Montier, and all board members. My name is Amaris Lewis. I am the Chief Academic Officer of Charter One, and thank you for welcoming me back to this platform. As we talk about our goal to continue our mission, vision, and values commitment to all families, supporting the family to provide the best educational experiences possible to all students in a moral and wholesome environment. I'm grateful for the opportunity to tell you about the strides our ALA students across the state of Arizona are making in their academic achievements. As we spoke about our grades, the health of a school can be measured by several different metrics. But today, I'll narrow my focus on performance related to our state-assessed school letter grade. Because our ALA schools collectively are demonstrating improvement, we are confident that adding an additional campus in Buckeye and Casa Grande to serve a considerable number of Arizona families will benefit our great state. American Leadership Academy has an LEA grade of an A, with 9 of our campuses earning an A and 3 campuses earning a B. Last year, 3 campuses earned an A, 5 earned a B, and we had a C. One of our campuses, Ironwood, was 1.27 points from an A. And our virtual school that earned a B was one of the highest performing schools in the state. Considering that the school letter grades of surrounding districts within and surrounding Casa Grande and Buckeye vary, we assert that ALA will provide school choice, an optional school choice for a better educational experience for families in the area. Our schools are on par or outperforming their neighboring schools for each of our campuses. Our overall proficiency for 2024 unofficially was 52% proficient or highly proficient in ELA, 46% proficient or highly proficient in math. Arizona state average, 41% proficient in ELA and 34 proficient or highly proficient in math. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Amorous, and good morning, President Close, Vice President Monteith, Superintendent Designee Miller, and the rest of the board. We are delighted to be here. And as both of my colleagues have previously mentioned, and I'll just continue to talk just a bit about, we have had tremendous community support from both Buckeye and Casa Grande as their families, community members, and various representatives from those areas have reached out and expressed interest in expanding the educational options that are available to those students in those areas. And they feel that ALA would be a good option for their students, families, and community. And as Ms. Lewis, who went before me, explained, we do believe that academics and the academic offerings that we provide is one of the reasons why that those communities are interested in what ALA provides. We also believe that it is more than academics. We believe that it is the full educational experience that we are able to offer our students and families, both in a safe environment, a campus culture, and excellent fine arts and sports offerings. And so for all of those reasons, we believe that we can go into these communities, serve them, and we have received that interest from those students and families. So we're grateful to be with you today. We're grateful for the opportunity to be able to present this information to you. And we are really excited and hopeful that we'll be able to serve the students and families of Casa Grande and Buckeye. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Board, President Close, Vice President Monteith, and members. My name is Michael Way. I'm the President of the Business Development Division for Charter One. And as Leilani was previously stating, our growth model is we go where we're wanted and we grow where we're wanted. And the families and the community in the Buckeye and Casa Grande areas have let us know that, and there's an incredible interest there. Thank you for your time, dedication, and continued service. We operate schools across the nation, and Arizona truly is a beacon of light to the rest of the nation when it comes to school choice. And it all starts here and in this room. And I just want to thank you for that and for the partnership that we've had and that we will continue to have with you. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Board members, are there any questions?
I have a couple questions. I don't know to whom I would address them.
Let's just have everybody come on up.
Oh, yeah.
That way we can cover it all.
Thank you. Again, thank you guys so much for coming out. I do have a couple of questions. I'm seeing on the board documentation that your proposed enrollment cap is going to put you about 25% over your current one. Is that correct? I'm seeing, enrollment cap's 20,000 and your projected is over 25,000. Am I looking at this correctly? Yes. So it seems like you're kind of pushing forward without, making sure that all the details are being taken care of. And it'd be a real shame to open up a school and then say, oh, I'm so sorry, guys, we don't have the ability to admit you to our school because we didn't, dot all the I's and cross all the T's and get the enrollment cap and everything. So what is the plan for the details? I mean, you already do have 2 schools that haven't opened yet. You have approval for Apache Junction and Surprise. So I don't think that applies to the enrollment cap either. What sort of structure is in place to make sure that these issues are addressed before you tell students come in the front door, but, oh, I'm sorry, you can't come in the front door?
It's still on. That is a great question. Thank you, Ms. Barr, for asking that. And as you all know, it does take a while to construct schools. And so, of course, we would have to address the issue of our enrollment cap prior to those doors being open so that we're in compliance. And so, yes, we, of course, would have to request that additional enrollment prior to being able to accept students. But with a 26 and a 27 open dates respectively for the schools that you mentioned, we would have to do that ahead of that.
Just a follow-up on that. And thank you, Member Barr, for that comment. It puts the board in a weird spot. So you're asking to approve 2 schools that will put you over the cap, which kind of puts us in a bad place when you come to ask for the enrollment cap increase if we don't agree with it. And when you've got schools and you're going to go raise debt and build and construct, I just don't know that, I don't know how we cross that. Like, it seems like maybe we're a bit ahead of where we should be. Yeah, cart before the horse. Thank you.
Just help.
Just so I don't know how you guys plan to address that. It's problematic.
I understand. Would any of my colleagues say something?
So, board members, and thank you for that comment. And as we understand it, historically, what we have done is when our caps hit 85%, then we request an increase because our enrollment, we need that at that point in time. And that's been what we have done. And so what I'm hearing is it feels like it may put the board in an awkward spot to perhaps approve a site expansion when perhaps the enrollment cap is less than what would be if we fill those new campuses, right? So I think what we've done in the past, like I say, is we've come back to the board when we're at about 85% because these schools don't open at full capacity. We've had a couple that have been very, very successful that way, but generally it takes time to ease in and get that population. And we would be back requesting a cap increase before we reach that cap point to not put you as a board in that difficult spot.
President Close, Vice President Montieth, and board members. First off, I want to thank the charter operator for the significant amount of work that I know that you have put forth to come before the board and the analysis. And, I guess my question is, it sounds like the timeline or the chain of events that you're looking to do to first get approval for sites to be able to ensure the funding confidence level to make sure that you have the approval of the sites and then go to an increase in your cap. Is that the kind of the course of action that you're wanting to take?
So the answer to that question is yes. And what we have seen historically in building our school sites is that it takes longer now than it did before. We used to come to this board and in a year have a school open. With supply, with labor, with everything goes into that, we don't do that anymore. It takes 2 or 3 years to plan that out. So we will come back to the board at the appropriate time for a cap expansion, and you can evaluate all the facts that go into that. But I think right now, we're not at that point yet. I think we're several thousand below the cap. That's what I understand. If I'm wrong factually, then please someone help me out there. Maybe
I'm looking at this right now and it puts you over your cap in fiscal year 2026.
Yeah.
Which obviously is coming a little bit faster than, the end projection of 2028.
So the projection would be, board member, that it would be at 2026, right? So again, it takes longer than we used to get these schools up and running and on board and build them. They're complicated to do. So we can assure the board we will be back for a cap increase and justify that increase with the facts and the details necessary at that time. We just weren't prepared for that today because we weren't thinking cap increase. We're not there yet to that point.
Vice President Montier, Carlos has his hand raised.
Wonderful, Carlos. We're ready for you.
No, I was just kind of reiterating, just like Ms. Barr and Mr. Swanson said. So right now, looking at that table, you're at basically 75% of your capacity right now, but next year you're over capacity, and then it goes even more and more. So I guess we're approving schools, and you'd probably come in 6 months and say, oh, we've got to increase our capacity. But we've already got schools planned, but we don't want to necessarily ask for capacity for those extra schools. Are we going to continually get these enrollment capacity requests, every 6 months as these schools get closer and come online? Is it and just a little bit, a little bit, like I said, I agree with Mr. Swanson that we're kind of getting a little we're getting ahead of ourselves. What happens? Is it because you're funding, you don't want to go out and say, here's our capacity, and because the funders, because I would assume that you to build a school, you've already got all your funding and everything lined up. They don't want to know that you've already approved the capacity from this board to fill those schools. I'm just a little confused on how this process, the sequencing, I guess, of this whole thing.
So, Board Member Ruiz, you're exactly right. The sequencing is important here. And I guess we were under the impression that with the 20,000 cap is where we are today. Am I right on that? Are we all looking at the same number, or?
That is correct. The
Is that
current
right?
cap is 20,000.
So we're at 20,000, and our enrollment today is in the high 16,800, somewhere in that range. So in our mind, there is room and there is capacity. And as these schools evolve construction-wise, development-wise, which we've learned takes time, and I'm intimately involved in that, and it takes a lot of time, we will be back. There's plenty of space. I guess what I'm trying to say, between 16,800 and 20,000, that's plenty of students to absorb over time while we move forward, and we'll come back for the request. If we wait to request an increase until we're ready to build the school and the school is ready, it's too late. And if we request the increase now, that wouldn't be justified yet. We're not quite ready. So it's right. It's sequencing, Board Member Ruiz, that we have to put together. And this is how we've done it in the past. So if it's a problem, it'd be nice to know that, and we can rectify it if we can.
May I ask a question? And I'm not sure to whom I'm directing this. So most likely it's going to be a Rachel and Ashley question.
That's fine.
My understanding during the application process to request a new school, there's also an option to request a cap increase. Is that so that it can happen at the same time? Is that correct?
That is correct. The amendment for a new school is built with a box to toggle for, I'd also like to request an enrollment cap with this, where then you submit what that enrollment cap number is, and then you submit a few additional narrative pieces.
Okay, and just a follow-up on that so that I can have a better understanding. The purpose behind that is for ellipse, question mark, I'm not going to fill it in.
That is correct, because of this conversation, is the reason why that was built into that amendment a handful of years ago, yes.
Okay, good to know. And so then just to follow up then, now my question for the charter is, were you aware of this process, and what was your thought process as far as that goes? Just so I can be clear.
Yeah. Vice Chair Monteith and board members, we certainly know that you're aware of that and that we are aware of it. It's just that, again, as I've indicated, historically, the schools don't go online and all of a sudden we're over capacity. They grow in student enrollment. Now and then they're full at the beginning, but rarely. And so in our minds, we're thinking there's plenty of time to do this. And we understand we could have applied for it at the same time, but we weren't ready. We can't justify that student enrollment today, but we can in the future. And these two sites, Casa Grande and Buckeye, will be a major input into what calculation we bring to you for enrollment capacity and caps. So, well, I think everyone is justifiably interested in this. I think based on what we've done in the past and the size of our district, in essence, I refer to it as a district. I know nobody else does, but I think of it that way growing up here in Arizona. To us, it's just kind of business as we've always done. And we know we need a cap increase. We wouldn't be building these schools, as Mr. Ruiz said, and investing the money that it takes to do that without that assurance. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm speaking with some individuals that helped draft the charter application, and they're citing an enrollment cap amendment request sheet where once we hit 85% of our enrollment, that's when we're supposed to ask for our increase. Because we're not at 85% yet, that's why we haven't. And I believe we were asked to do it that way.
President Monteith, if I can add additional information from Mr. Way's comments. The 85% that's being alluded to is that cap or that criteria to be on the recommendation criteria to be under the consent agenda. So it's not a requirement that charters be at that 85% threshold, but rather if they meet that 85% threshold, and that's when they go on to, then they meet that criteria for the recommendation criteria.
Okay. And by the way, we appreciate all of the information that you're sharing and support you 100%. So I hope this doesn't come across as, doom and gloom, because that's not our intent. We just have some questions because as Member Swanson said, it seems kind of cart before the horse. And so everybody just wants to feel good about everything or as good as we can. Okay. So that's why we're asking the questions.
And Vice President Monteith, we completely understand the position that you all are in. Board Member Swanson, Board Member Ruiz, like we know that you have to be able to dot your I's and cross your T's. And so we completely expect and appreciate the questions, and just know like our intent is never to try to skirt or do things out of order, but rather to follow just kind of the process that we've been given and that we understand to be correct, which has always been this 85% threshold. And so we welcome the questions. We want to be fully transparent, and we want to also follow the protocols that have been set and always strive to do that. So we very much appreciate where you guys are sitting and the role that you play, and completely understand that. And we want to be compliant as well. So
Awesome. I do have a question that's not specifically about enrollment caps. I'm going to move on from that if that's okay. So there are the two sites that you're looking, or the two areas that you're looking to expand to, Buckeye and Casa Grande. They have a different demographic than what you're typically used to. Can you give us a little bit of information about, I understand your mission and it's fabulous and wonderful, and I would like to see how that's going to work out for a different demographic than what you are typically used to seeing.
We have a few campuses that don't fit the mold of our typical demographic, and that's quite frankly why we are going to Buckeye and Casa Grande. It's easy for us to go into Scottsdale or other areas where we can, we know we would perform top tier, but that is really our goal, is to reach all students. So the academic team has a model that supports all demographics. We know what funding is provided for those areas in the Title I school funding, if that's what they would qualify for. But we also provide support to all campuses, regardless of demographics. Our new campuses, our academic team meets with them biweekly. And so we have a pretty good footprint and handle on what each campus specifically needs. So in the classroom, we call it differentiation. It's the same thing. And we're confident that we can provide that support.
Can I ask a follow-up to that, specifically relating to English language learners?
Yes.
Because I know your other schools are very low numbers in that, and I don't have the numbers for the number of them in Buckeye and Casa Grande, but having grown up here, I have a pretty good idea. So can you please speak specifically to how you intend on supporting those larger numbers of English language learners?
Sure. So we have an EL specialist who has grown our EL growth from 10% to 25% in the state of Arizona for all of our campuses. We have a higher population of EL students in Sierra Vista, in one of our other campuses. So we are equipped to handle those higher numbers with our EL support. She meets directly with the directors and the EL teachers. We have created this year an EL benchmark for all of our students, and she follows up with that, with those teachers monthly.
Okay, so do you have a dedicated EL teacher on each campus then as well?
Yes, it depends on the numbers. So we have a threshold of ratio of teacher to student. So each campus does have an EL teacher. It just depends on how many EL students we serve, if that EL teacher is devoted to them full time or if they split time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do have a question. I want to echo the sentiment of thank you for all the hard work it takes to prepare these presentations and also the work you do each day. Michael mentioned your national presence, which you guys have been very successful charter district here in Arizona and have expanded nationally. Would you guys mind speaking a little bit to the national presence and how those schools are doing kind of parallel to this growth plan here in Arizona?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for that question. Like I mentioned earlier, we go where we're wanted and we grow where we're wanted. So if you were to take a look at the map of the United States and see our growth model, Harvard Business Review would probably scratch their head a little bit at where we're going and why. But it is truly based on the educational model that we offer and how successful we'll end up being in those locations. We have a presence in North Carolina. We have a presence in South Carolina, entering other states such as Utah, Texas, and other states as well. And starting schools from the ground up, also acquiring schools. We have a pretty good record of acquiring certain schools specifically to address some of the questions that Vice President Montier mentioned about more at-risk populations where failing schools have come to us and asked us to acquire them, to assist them to get their failing grade and F up. And we're actually quite proud of that. We've gotten a black eye for assuming those schools. Now we have some F and D schools on our record in those other states, but we believe it's for the best and for those families. And we're pleased to announce that you can see the growth of those students year over year, and those schools are now ranked. They're I don't have it completely memorized. We got those grades. The ones that I'm thinking of specifically, we've raised from Fs to Ds and Ds to Cs this last year. So they're on the right track. That's 98% free and reduced lunch. Very high special ed populations. And so we're really pleased about the work that we're doing there. And that's honestly one of the reasons why we feel ready and willing and able and capable of going to those two locations that we mentioned today.
Thank you. Vice President Montier. Just a final last beat on the dead horse of the enrollment cap. This board has gotten into kind of in the past, an issue where a school kind of went above its enrollment cap and put us in a very awkward spot of saying, sorry, you can't get funded for those students. And so me personally, I am very cognizant of that. And I don't know, and I ask just a question of staff. Ashley, is this issue kind of more of a result of the structure that ALA has of all their schools under one contract because you're going up and down and so rapidly, or is this just an issue?
No, President Close, Vice President Montier, Superintendent Designee Miller, and Member Swanson. No, I mean, my take on this would be true to what the charter operators had mentioned is that growth looks different. In the past, they were able to come to us and say, we want to open up a school in a year. And so you could better track what the enrollment trends would be. Where we're at now is that and I think they'll say it too, right? They're rapidly expanding where they're doing about 2 schools each year, but we're getting to a point where we are approving a school or a few schools. We're not seeing that data come in as quickly as we used to. So enrollment, we're not seeing those enrollment numbers coming in. So we are a little bit behind because they're planning future builds when we don't even see those students yet, right? And so I think it's really that 2-year timing where in the past we had 1 year of growth in which we would see those enrollments coming in.
Okay, thank you. And then just a follow-up or a different topic. I was pleased to see that the letter grades, and this may be for Ms. Lewis, but I was pleased to see the letter grades, the improvement from last year to this year, and that was good. But you also have 4 schools that have, no letter grades that are out there right now. So 25% of your portfolio. And can you talk to that and how we're doing in the 2 schools that are open of the 4, right?
Sure. Sierra Vista. Are we talking about What other schools are you referring to that we don't have a grade on? Mason North, yes, Mason North and Sierra Vista. So those two schools, as I mentioned before, the one thing that we are doing as we expand as an academic team is we're providing that support biweekly. What we're seeing right now is they are on par with what West Foothills was doing with their achievement, and we really feel it's necessary to provide that. They probably talk to me a bit more than what they would like, but we monitor their achievement closely. Every time we benchmark or we give monthly, we have what's called like monthly check-ins or quarter check-ins, just to ensure that the students are getting what they need. If they are not receiving what they need based on the data that we observe, then we're going in and providing support, teacher effectiveness, professional development. We have a professional development instructor on our staff that goes out. We were actually at the Sierra Vista campus on site yesterday. We visit those campuses quarterly as well as biweekly to provide that support for our campuses.
Thank you. Specific, and then this is just something I had noted before. West Foothills, you currently have like 2,300 students, and that's projected to go down to 1,500 next year. Is that accurate in the data in the executive summary?
No, no, not by a long shot.
Okay, well, I think it's your data, right? That's the school's data,
Member Swanson.
your projections. Yes.
Member Swanson. So we did double check that data because I agree that it looks odd based on the most recent SFOB report. Don't ask me what that stands for, please. Say that.
I think it's School Facilities Operations Oversight Board. Yes.
School Facilities Oversight Board report on ADE's website. That is the correct ADM number for that campus. The 3 years after that are the enrollment matrix numbers pulled from the amendment that they provided. So I do agree with you. There's an odd decline in the data. I wondered if perhaps it had to do with the new surprise soon-to-be Vistancia school, if there might be some movement there, but I don't know if that's accurate or if there's just something funny with the data.
So I can't say definitively the reason, but my thought is it may have split the campuses in that first number and done our high school as the 1,500. That I don't know. No, we don't think. Okay.
I always forget that. So the SFOB report that I pulled that number from lists all of the grade levels, and the enrollment matrix would be for the full school. So it
Okay.
also listed all of them.
I was just trying to troubleshoot. In which case that is an interesting anomaly. It's not something that we are projecting. We do have the Vistancia school, which obviously is opening at least 10 miles to the north, I think, of that campus. It may pull a few kids and some families away from that campus, but we do not anticipate nor expect the dramatic decrease in enrollment that is reflective in that number.
And real quick, I wonder if that was just a fat finger moment too, and it's 2,500, not 1,500. It's 2,300 currently, I believe, is what the number that you mentioned. We anticipate the numbers to actually go up due to the wait list and the interest there. So that good catch.
So then along those lines though, so you, and I'm asking this question, and by the way, you guys obviously do a very nice job, and thank you for everything you've done. And I support the school and the mission, what you guys are trying to do, but I'm thinking about sort of portfolio risk. You will have, and I don't know what the current numbers are, but something like more than 10% of every charter school student in the state, and fully 2% or more of every child in K through 12 in the state. And with the rapid growth, and your structure, which is every school is under the same contract, right? So if you run into a big problem in one school, you're going to have a problem with your whole contract. Is that correct, Ashley? Potentially.
President Close, Vice President Monteith, Superintendent Designee Miller, and Member Swanson. I would say, actually, we've done over the last couple of years, we've really tried hard to establish our processes where we hold schools and charter operators that have varying ways of how they contract, whether it's a singleton contract with one school underneath it or one contract with multiple schools. We've worked to establish accountability that would allow us to take action on an individual school if we had concerns with that under one contract. So yes, I mean, they do have one contract. So if there is like a huge issue at the network level, then potentially that could be a higher risk for them, which I believe they're very much aware of. But beyond that, if we're looking at academic performance, we do have the ability just to hold one school accountable. And that's typically what we have done in the past as precedent.
Okay, thank you. So, but my question is, with your national growth and footprint and the rapid growth in Arizona, how do we, with the schools that don't have data for them, how do we get comfortable with, adding another 2,500 students between these two campuses to your portfolio, and how are you managing that growth? Because you need a lot of talent to do all this.
So specifically, how do you trust that you say what we're going to do? We're going to continue what we do.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that you've got such a significant number of students, and we'll be counting on you to take care of those kids everywhere they are. And if you're going to grow by that amount, that's a pretty aggressive growth plan. You're going to be over 20,000. You're adding, essentially 2,500 a year by your projections. And so how do you protect all of your schools that you currently are operating and ensure that the new ones are going to be A schools in very high quality?
Yeah, I think it comes down to our overall just vision of who we are. If we believe that if we're not growing, we're dying. And when it comes to it all comes down to accountability, which is one of the key elements of our raised values that we teach at all of our schools. Accountability, going back to the single contract for all of our schools. You mentioned those two schools, Sierra Vista and Mesa North. We've had those students for about 3.5 months so far into the school year, and we get what we get. We're a public school, and I think you'd be amazed at the amount of effort and leverage that our academic team does to determine where do these students come from and how can we get them to the next level. We're extremely proud of the organization that we have, and we don't just pick a dot on the map and decide to go there. We've done this for almost nearly 20 years now, and we've got a method and a model that works, and it comes down to being able to leverage the partnerships that we have with individuals, and then our ever-growing footprint within our organization, and holding ourselves to the same level of accountability and the same raised values that we hold our students and our parents to. So to give you comfort about, well, how do we know you're going to keep doing it? We're accountable to the parents. If the parents don't come to the school, the taxpayers aren't on the hook, we're on the hook. And it is, I would say, please look at our track record and please look at where we plan on continuing to go in other states that are asking us to enter too. We're happy and we're proud of our track record. And I would say, look at what we've done. We're going to continue to do that. If you'd like any more specifics, I think looking at our resume, I think speaks to itself in a lot of these, and why we've decided to go to those communities as well.
Thank you, Mr. Way.
Thank you.
It looks like we have a couple questions. So I think Member Foster, yes? Okay, because I can only see one person on the screen, so I apologize. And then Member Ruiz, I see that your hand's up as well. So let's go with Member Foster first, and then Member Ruiz.
This is actually very similar to what you were talking about. My question was, you have the tagline, go where we are wanted and we grow where we want it. What are some of the criteria? What would you say are your two criteria for people coming to you? And then I think you started it, and I apologize, my internet was going out. I wanted to know about your replication process. How do you ensure, because this is a different demographic traditionally for you, how are you planning to
Ms. Foster, can you repeat your last statement? Sorry. Oh, no, we still can't hear you. You know what? We're going to go ahead and let them answer. If you want to type it, maybe we can, would that be okay? Is that all right? Okay.
Okay.
Go.
So and I think the crux of that question was the two main components that we look at when we decide where we're going to go next. There's a lot more than two. But it comes down to, does it make business sense? The land price, first and foremost. Is it going to make sense to build a $60 to $80 million facility in any location of the state? Sometimes not. But then also, can we fill it? We do have a model. It's the K-12 model that parents love. It's one-stop shop for mom and dad. We prefer the K-12 model. We prefer that full high school experience that we can offer within a charter school that is sometimes difficult to do. And so it's got to be in the right location. It's got to be in the right, typically growing cities help. There's got to be the right amount of land at the right amount of price. And there has to be the right amount of parents that want to send their students there. And so our marketing team does a really good job of outreach and determining and reaching out to those families through social, through many different marketing aspects. Very proud of the marketing team and what we're able to do, and forming interest lists and doing info sessions years in advance. I forget what number we're at for Vistancia out in Peoria, but we're coming up on several thousand students that are already interested to apply for our school right now, and we just broke ground. So it needs to make sense financially, as I mentioned before, but also is there a requisite number of interested families that want the type of K-12 model that we offer? And if that's the case, then we look even harder at it, and then we go through the application process with the governing board, such as yourselves, to ask for that permission. So I hope that answered your question, Member Foster. Okay, I see a thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. Perfect. Okay.
All right, and then we have member. Was there anything else? I'm so sorry. Anything that was typed that we need to read, or are we okay?
Member Foster, I think that addressed your question.
That covered everything.
Yeah, so
Okay,
we're good.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, and member Ruiz.
So I mean, this is probably a staff question. So the risk, looking at this chart on page 1, the risk to the charter is if they grow above their capacity and we don't, and the board doesn't approve that capacity increase, they don't get paid for the students, extra students that are above the capacity, the approved capacity. Is that correct?
Member Ruiz, that is correct.
Okay. And then so that's their risk, and it's also puts us in a bind to approve something that we kind of knew was coming. I think that's kind of the crux that I have with this. And this chart shows me where this thing is going, but we're not addressing that issue now. We're just saying, well, let's just wait and see what happens. What is the risk if, and I'm not trying to change, and anybody's process, because this is the way that, their process is, wait till you get to 85 and then come back. Has there ever been approvals where I seem to think I've remembered where it kind of ramps up along with the projections, just so that we're all being aware, cognizant of this is what kind of the forecast looks like it's going to be. So what's the risk on the charter holder if they change this and they said, okay, we'd like to kind of make this thing kind of go up in the same manner, and it doesn't happen, and all of a sudden they've got been approved capacity for 25,000 and they're still at, say, 22. What's the downside? What's the downside risk on their part of having that higher allowed capacity but not meeting it? They're still getting paid for all the students that show up to the school, right?
Member Ruiz, that is correct. They will get paid for the students that show up as long as it's within their enrollment cap.
Okay. Have we ever? I mean, I seem to think I remember. We approve a lot of enrollment caps and new schools, but I seem to remember that we've allowed enrollment caps to increase in the future without them necessarily, having those students in their schools.
Member Weiss, one of the things that we have done in the past is allowing for like a slow growth, right? So allowing for a 1, 2, or 3-year growth under the enrollment cap. So that has been something that the board has done, but we've had an enrollment cap increase request, right? In order to consider for that. But yes, you are correct that in the past, we have had slow growth models come before us with enrollment caps increasing year over year.
Okay.
And then again, I think back to your point, it's important to know that yes, our board has in the past approved scenarios like that, but also there have been scenarios that Member Swanson has mentioned where we have approved new schools and then we get somewhat in that bind. So there's a lot to weigh here in that
All right.
consideration.
Okay.
I just have one more quick question kind of going along with this, and this is for the charter. Not implying anything, just want to make sure we have all of the information. If this came down to a situation where the board approved one school, not two, is there a preference and why would you approve? Is there a preference on one school versus the other, and why is it that you would choose that particular school over the other one?
If you had to choose one,
I know I'm putting you in a terrible position. I'm so
I don't want
sorry.
this to go on the
It's
record.
just out of
No,
curiosity.
we're a lot further along in the land acquisition process in Casa Grande.
Okay, great. That's perfect. It's just a curiosity question. I think is it okay if I kind of sum everything up, Ashley? Is that all right? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So what I'm hearing from everyone, and again, forgive me if I'm not doing this correctly because President Close is significantly better at this, but I'm just there was a lot that was discussed. And so the concerns of the board are really that enrollment versus opening school. That's kind of a big thing that has been a theme. And I think, I don't know if we can do this or not, Ashley, so I'm just going to put it out there, but perhaps moving forward, not necessarily at this time for this decision, but perhaps moving forward, we look at if we're doing something, if the board is looking to do something like this, then there's a conjunctive, well, I don't know if that's the right word, but in conjunction with a school increase, we have the enrollment cap because there's that box that can be checked if it's valid. That would probably make everything a little bit more seamless moving forward. Nothing we can do about it at this time. The second concern, I think, on the board is the rapid growth. But you have shown as a charter that that you can take on rapid growth. You gave us a lot of information on that. So, and then I think the third topic that was brought up, and correct me if I'm wrong here, board members, was how are you serving this different demographic? Because it is very different from your traditional demographic. And so that was covered specifically with the questions about English learners and how to address that situation. So does that kind of sum everything up for the board? Or do we have any additional questions?
Yes, that's fine for me. Thank you. Let's foster.
Cool. I just have one more maybe we're putting the bow on the gift at this point. Are you guys planning on coming back in a year with 2 new sites? Is this going to be a recurring theme, or is this just kind of happen to have 6 schools all right in a row?
Our goal is 1 to 2 schools per year moving forward.
Okay.
Interesting. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for the board? From the board? Okay. So I feel like we're kind of at that place where we can have a motion.
Yes, Vice President Montier, I'll make a motion. I move to add American Leadership Academy Casa Grande to the contract of American Leadership Academy, Inc.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ashley?
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Miss Barr.
Before I cast my vote, I just want to say that, I see the letter grades and I think you guys are doing a great job, but this rapid growth program maybe in the future would maybe, I'd like to see more data from the newer schools before we continue adding a lot more. But with that, my vote is aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Yes.
President Close.
I'm going to vote aye. I just want to add on to that a little bit. I want to thank American Leadership Academy for all their hard work, but I think this is the best course that the board has opted to move on. Jessica, I think you've done a great job. I really like your Solomon-esque question right before your summary. So, but my vote is aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you all very much. We are very much looking forward to seeing what you can put forth before the board. Okay, thanks.
And I'm sorry to go back to this, but
Please do.
Vice President Monteith and Member Swanson and board members, we do need to address the other amendment request. So there does need to be action taken for Buckeye.
Okay. I move, based on the information contained in the board materials and presented today, to deny the request for American Leadership Academy Buckeye for the contract of American Leadership Academy for the reason that the board has concerns regarding the rapid growth and would like to see more data, timely data for all the schools when they do bring new schools forward.
Okay, we have a motion. Second.
I'll second.
This is Hans. I can second.
And a third. Great. Okay, Ashley.
Vice President Monteith.
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller.
Aye.
Ms. Barr.
Aye.
Ms. Foster.
Aye.
Ms. Jones.
I'm actually going to vote nay, but I'd like to explain my vote. I do believe the timeline and the justification to approve both schools is just. I do think it came down to the percentage that is really a specific percentage that you have to have. And I believe that looking at the historical perspective of the school's growth plan, that they have followed the same plan. So with that, I vote nay.
Mr. Ruiz.
I'm gonna vote nay. I think if they come back and I just have an issue with the enrollment cap being so low and their growth. I think they're going into places where there is need, and understanding the timing that it takes to build a school, and those schools are probably going to fill just knowing where they are and the growth that's going on there. But I'm uneasy, which is, it's kind of funny. I'm uneasy about this enrollment cap, but I'm gonna vote nay though on this.
Mr. Swanson.
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Gotta get my ducks in a row. I'm so sorry. Where are we? Oh, okay. All right. Oh, sorry. My agenda got, sorry, my computer. Okay. All right. And then we are looking for an enrollment. So item H3, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And Mary. Hi, Mary.
Good morning, President Close, Vice President Monteith, and Superintendent Designee Miller, and board members. Ready, set, CASA Academy has submitted an amendment request to increase its enrollment cap from 462 to 528 beginning in fiscal year 2026. In 2019, the board approved a slow growth plan to expand this charter through 8th grade from its previously approved K-3. The current request is the final step in this plan to allow the school to serve 8th graders in the upcoming year. The charter holder does not meet the staff recommendation criteria because it does not perform at or above the average performance of schools within a 5-mile radius in ELA and math. And I'm available for questions if you have them.
I have a quick question just to confirm. Their current highest grade level is 7. Next year, they're looking to add an 8th grade. And that's the purpose of the enrollment cap, essentially, just to
Yes, to
have those.
those, yes,
Thank you.
matriculation.
Any other questions? Do we have a representative? Hi. Welcome. Please make sure you touch the down on the bottom button. Yes, lovely. Thank you so much.
President Close, Vice President Montier, Superintendent Designee Miller, and members of the board. I am thankful for the opportunity to speak with you today about our amendment request for an enrollment cap increase. Our request to increase our enrollment cap is so that our current 7th graders can grow into 8th grade with us next year and so that we can best meet the needs of all of the families that we serve currently. The indicator, as Mary shared, where we don't meet the staff recommendation is performing at or above the average performance of schools in a 5-mile radius. Before I speak to this, I want to highlight our program and what we do exceptionally well at CASA. At CASA, we transform lives. We work with students who are in need of the most support in our community. Many of our students do not have enough food at home to eat. Many of them have gone through significant traumas that we are currently supporting them with. And to them, CASA is truly their safe space. It is their home away from home. We serve a significantly underserved demographic in our community, coming in at 98% of students qualifying for free and reduced price lunch last year, which is the national indicator of poverty. If you compare that to the surrounding schools within a 5-mile radius, you'll notice that we are 36% higher on average than those other schools in terms of this demographic. We also serve a high percentage of English language learners at 65% last year and currently 71% this year. I want to emphasize our character program because we believe this is such an integral part of what we do and the magic that happens at CASA Academy for our scholars every single day. We are teaching our core values to our scholars, and we are teaching them that they need to believe in themselves. We are teaching them that it is okay for them to make mistakes, that if they don't know something, that they don't know it yet, but that they can learn it. We are teaching them how to overcome hardships, how to persevere through challenges, and how to push through those setbacks with enthusiasm. These are things that are not quantifiable, and they are not included in any of the academic data that we can observe. Now, I will speak specifically to our student achievement data because we do have a very strong plan in terms of what we are working on there. Our academic data is not where we want it to be, which is no surprise. We have done significant work as a leadership team over the past several years to make sure that we are looking directly at those student outcomes and helping them to grow and improve. There are 4 key areas that I'd like to highlight for the board today. 1, we have done intensive strategic planning to hone in on what is most important at a specific moment in time so that we can move the needle and make sure that we're filling and closing more gaps. 2, we have weekly data analysis meetings as a leadership team so that we can target the gaps that we're seeing between what is happening in instruction and the data that's coming in. We do this for our unit assessments, for our benchmark assessments, in addition to the state assessment data. So there is a lot of data analysis going on at CASA. 3, hiring additional staff to support the unique needs of the population that we serve. We have added additional staff members in the past year, and we now have 3 instructional coaches who are in classrooms every day, supporting our teachers, making sure that they are getting high quality feedback in terms of how they can grow. We also added an additional reading interventionist. So we have 3 reading interventionists this year who are specifically targeting closing the 2nd to 4th grade reading gap for our scholars. And then we have 1 English language learner interventionist, which we added this year. Would have loved to add previously, but it was a setback due to funding. We are very happy to be able to provide all of those additional staff this year to support our community. And then 4, we focus on growth. We earned over 40 out of the 50 points for our letter grade for growth, and that is where the magic happens at CASA. Our scholars, the majority of them are coming in significantly behind. And when I say significantly, I mean they're coming in at the very bottom. And we are working with them very intentionally and strategically to help bolster their academics and to help them make growth. You might not see that in our proficiency data yet, but we know that ultimately we are going to get there. So today, thank you again for the opportunity to speak. And I want to reiterate that we are asking you to approve our request so that our current 7th graders can grow with us up until 8th grade. Thank you, and I'm available for questions.
Board members, any questions?
I would just like to comment, having previously taught any school with similar demographics, I know how difficult it is. And I just want to say I appreciate you guys very much for what you're doing to serve that underserved community. And also, thank you for addressing the letter grade. That was, of course, going to be a question, but where I currently teach, we've seen the benefit of interventionalists and getting that attention. So thank you for setting up a plan and presenting it to us.
Nice presentation. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion.
Oh,
Vice President Montier.
any questions online before we go? No? Okay, go for it.
I move based on the information contained in the board materials and presented today to approve the request to increase the enrollment cap for the contract of CASA Academy from 462 to 528 beginning in fiscal year 2026.
I'll second that.
Wonderful. Ashley?
Vice President Monteith,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Yes.
President Close.
Aye, and I just want to add a little bit as well. I appreciate the charter holders' sincere efforts, and I also appreciate their practical, deliberate approach to implementing their efforts. Aye.
Motion passes.
Congratulations. Best of luck. All right, moving on to agenda item number 5, Santan Montessori School. Presentation by Rachel.
President Close, Vice President Montier, Superintendent Designee Miller, and members of the board. Santan Montessori School, Inc. has submitted a new school amendment request to add Santan Charter School to its charter. The new school would be located in Gilbert, serve students in grades 7 through 12, and open in fiscal year 2026. The proposed location is already open and serving students as an approved member campus, and this is an administrative change that is needed to transition the existing member campus to an independent school site with its own entity ID and CTDS number. The charter holder does not meet the staff recommendation criteria because Santan Charter School does not perform at or above the average performance of nearby schools in ELA and math within a 5-mile radius of the school's current location. I'm available for questions if you have any.
Board members, questions? Do we have a representative from the charter? Wonderful, welcome.
Chris Sipple, I'm the superintendent of schools, along with my wife, who's the founder as well. Thank you to Rachel for taking us through this administrative need here. The staff's been fantastic to work with. They've asked us to do this, and we've been able to do that with them. Did want to address our academics, a couple of pieces to talk about. We are kind of like in charter school Mecca where we exist in Morrison Ranch. We have ALAs and we have Benjamin Franklin's, we have BASIS's, there's like a ton. And when we started 16 years ago, we were the only game in town, which was kind of great for us. And we still are that mom and pop approach to charter schools. And so something that does make us unique is our 3 programs of instruction. So within one school, even all the way through high school, you can choose a track of what we call our traditional education, or you can choose a gifted track, or you can choose Montessori. Pre-K through 12 for Montessori, K through 12 for the other 2. What that makes it unique for us is we get large families that come 4 or 5 students, and where a parent may have their kids at 3 different schools or 4 different schools based on the need, Santan's able to address those needs all under one roof. And so that doesn't speak to our academics, but what I do want to point out with that is because of that, we have a very diverse population that comes to us at all different levels. If you'll notice also, I appreciate the previous applicant because my notes also express that our growth is pretty tremendous. So if you look at our most recent letter grade, we were a B, we moved up to an A. The data that you guys actually have is old. It's our B data, not our A data. The staff has provided you the most recent letter grades because those came out during the application process. So we are moving in the right directions. What have we done? We've taken 2 major steps. One is we've really allowed our campus principals become the academic leaders. Our campus principals, because we're smaller schools, 450-ish each campus, they had to be the principal and the disciplinarian, which at some point in time can take a lot of time. You never know what your day looks like for discipline. But bringing on dean positions at both the campuses now allow our principals in the last couple of years to become academic leaders for their campuses. Small group meetings, quarterly meetings, monthly meetings, and even weekly meetings with their staff to talk about growth data. The second piece is our academic achievement coordinator. She is a K-12. She is at both campuses helping both populations. She also has a specific her specific area of expertise is the gifted mind and the gifted education. So our population is about, of our total, 20% is gifted, about another, and I would say, yeah, the other 2 are kind of 15%, 20% for Montessori, and the bulk of our campus is a traditional education model. I think that's all I have for this one. Yeah, I've got more for the next one. I'm probably going on. I've overlapped my 2.
Thank you so much. Any questions from the board?
I just have one comment.
Yeah.
President Close, Vice President and board members, just thank you to the charter operator. I know in terms of administrative need, we appreciate you doing this. I know it's a lot of work. And I know that the staff is also very helpful in the process. So we really do appreciate you doing this. And you put forth a good package to let us know what you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Congratulations on your A.
Yeah, we're so really, we've been a B for so long, guys. To get over that hump is amazing. I'm not kidding you. Like, my whole team is here. We're going to celebrate, and it was fantastic when we got that. And they're honest, to be truthful. Again, we're a mom and pop, so there were tears in the offices and in the classrooms, right, for the work done.
And there should be. Congratulations to you
you.
and your team for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Good job, everybody. If there are no other questions or comments, do we have a motion?
We do. Good presentation and congrats on the A. I move based upon the information contained in the board materials and presented today to approve the request to add a new school located in Gilbert to the contract of Santan Montessori School, Inc.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Wonderful. Ashley?
Vice President Monteith,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Congratulations again. More to celebrate. Okay. Moving forward to item I, charter replication application presented again by Rachel.
President Close, Vice President Montier, Superintendent Designee Miller, and members of the board. Santan Montessori School, Inc. submitted an application to replicate its charter, which has been in operation since 2009. If approved, the new charter will be held by the same entity as the existing charter. The proposed school, Santan Charter School, will serve students in grades K through 8 in Queen Creek and has a target start date of July 22nd, 2026. The charter is requesting an enrollment cap of 800 for the new contract. And again, I'm available for any questions you may have.
Board members, questions for Rachel? All right. Your turn again.
Well, thank you. I do want to add on this piece in particular, because the replication process was new for us. I wish they would have stayed. Our friends at ALA who have done this multiple times, as you guys have previously discussed, helped us specifically with formatting, word, and target population. So they did help us in this process. It's nice to have a big, like what they call charter network to help out the guys down the street. So I appreciate their help for that. I wish they were here for this. So I do want to add that. Second piece I want to add is Megan. I know she's fairly new to your guys' staff, right? Phenomenal person to work with. She makes you feel great with bad news. She just does that so well. And so I want to thank her for that. But again, a couple of things I do want to address is, again, our academic piece is not that of our neighboring schools. I spoke to that briefly, and the pieces that we're doing for that to help with that moving forward in our proposed expansion. I did also want to mention that we have secured in our application, we are in the process, we have secured based on what the board decides to do here this afternoon, a facility that's actually going to be at Meridian and Germain, which is just a block further out east in a very rapid growing area of Queen Creek. It's right off the 24, Germain and the 24. We have secured 3 proposals from GCon Instruction, WellMeg, and Cemetery Builders for the building of the facility, and we have our finance team in place. So we are ready to go, depending on what the board decides this afternoon. I think that is all the additional. Oh, and we are ready to go with Mark Francis and his team over at the Charter School Expansion Grant. We plan on taking advantage of that once this is approved as well. And again, the data is different from what the staff provided to what we provided because we were submitting last year's data. They have this year's data.
All right.
Which is an A.
Hey, board members, questions?
Oh, I'm going to say it. What's your enrollment cap looking like?
So here, you know what? This is amazing. As I was sitting there next to my wife, I'm like, oh my gosh, honey, this thing's going to derail right here in front of us. Because if we were to get to the 500 on year 1, I believe we would have 1,300 kids in our school, and I think our cap is 1,200. And so I will address that right now, that it will be our goal as soon, depending what happens this afternoon, we will instantly get with Megan and submit a cap increase to full capacity of the new campus. So you are going to be in the same situation by 100 students.
Thank you.
Can I ask for clarification on that? Because does the replicated school, is it asking for its own enrollment cap of 800?
Well, maybe I am.
The replicated school will be on its own contract.
Yep.
So when you do your if you choose to approve this and do your motion to 800, they've already asked for that 800 that they, I believe, would require for the replication. It will not impact the enrollment cap of the existing contract.
So you're good.
Look at me. See, the staff's amazing. The staff's amazing.
See, you got an A.
I was
You're
worried
on.
about nothing
Wow.
over here. Yeah.
Nice
Thank you
job.
for that. Yeah.
All right. Other questions or comments?
Just President Close, Vice President, board members, charter operator, I just want to say thank you again. One question I did have, you did mention that you now have a proposed facility that is more of not so much proposed, but almost to the final stages is what it sounds like. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that is
Okay.
correct. Yes, we've
Okay.
identified 6.5 acres right east of Barney Farms, but it's where that Apache Junction growth quarter is going in, and beautiful. There are, I mentioned in the packet, there are 3 other charter schools in the area as well, all at capacity, 850 plus. We're not proposing quite as large of a school over right out of the chute, and the district school right there is busting at about 1,100. So rapid growth, none of which have the 3 programs that we're able to offer. So it is very different for the community.
Thank you. That was my only question.
That was my question as well. So great minds. Okay. Anybody else online? Do we have a motion?
Vice President Montier, I'd like to make a motion.
Please do.
I move, based on the information contained in the board materials and presented today, to approve the request to grant the replication charter requested by Santan Montessori School, Inc. to establish the school Santan Charter School in Queen Creek, serving grades K through 12 with an enrollment cap of 800.
Member Swanson, it's K8. Would you like to amend your motion?
Yes, I'd like to say K8 instead of K12.
And I missed what enrollment cap did he say?
800.
Perfect. Thank you.
1 out of 2.
Second?
I'll second.
Lovely. Ashley?
Vice President Monteith,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Miss Barr,
Aye.
Miss Foster,
Aye.
Miss Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
I'm going to vote aye, but I just want to make a comment. In reviewing the board materials, calling everything Santan Montessori School, all three of your campuses, is very confusing.
Yes, we are
So
aware.
and so in reviewing like the data and which one is this and who's on first was very difficult. So I don't know if you want to add like a little moniker at the end of.
We
A,
are
B, or
actually
C.
working with staff on that, aren't we, Rachel?
Thank you. And I vote yes.
I was not aware, but that would be great. I'm happy to help expedite those requests.
it's me. I'm sorry. President Close.
Thanks, Jim, and thanks, Ashley. I vote aye.
Motion passes.
Congratulations. More celebration. All right. Wonderful. Moving on to item J, compliance matters. All right. Presentation by Cassie.
Before we,
Good morning.
Cassie, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Do we want to see if board members need a break?
Oh,
I know.
good call. Here I am just plowing
I know,
through.
I'm
I
sorry.
apologize. Yes. Yes. Can we take a break? Please?
Yes. How many minutes?
5?
Okay.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, let me try that again. We are coming back, and I'm going to actually take roll to make sure that we know that all of our board members are back and that it is on record. So, no, it's okay. Vice President Monteith,
Present.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Here.
Miss Barr,
Here.
Miss Foster, Miss Foster, Miss Jones,
Here.
Mr. Ruiz.
I'm here.
Oh, yeah, I can turn it up. I think the volume's down. It's okay. Mr. Swanson,
I'm here.
President Close.
There is a whole lot of desert between Phoenix and LA, but I am here in this meeting.
Thank you. And I'm going to go back to Miss Foster. I think our volume was down. Miss Foster, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
We can. And it was not on your end, it was on ours. So thank you. I appreciate it. With that, we do have a quorum.
All righty. So just to backtrack so that everybody remembers, we are on item, hold on, I'm going to mess this up. J1A. And Cassie's presenting.
Good morning. It's still morning. President Close, Vice President Montier, Superintendent Designee Miller, and members of the board. Pursuant to Arizona Revised Statute 15183R and Arizona Administrative Code R75403F, if the board determines a charter holder does not meet the board's minimum operational performance expectations, it shall consider the charter holder's noncompliance and may subject the charter holder to additional charter oversight, as outlined in Article 6 of the Arizona Administrative Code, including issuing a notice of intent to revoke the charter contract. Pursuant to this rule, the following charter holder has been placed on the agenda for the board's consideration. The portfolio includes an executive summary detailing the charter holder's operational issues, including a summary table beginning on page 2 outlining which measure was rated a does not meet standard. A charter holder profile containing the governance structure, state assessment data, student enrollment and demographics, nearby schools comparison and performance dashboards. And the site visit report sent by board staff and a communication timeline summarizing any technical assistance or information provided to the charter holder. Franklin Phonetic Primary School, Inc. currently operates one school serving grades K through 6 in Phoenix. Due to the charter holder being in its 10th year of operation following its charter renewal, board staff conducted an interval virtual review call for Franklin Phonetic Primary School Sunny Slope on April 15, 2024, and conducted its pop-in site visit on April 18, 2024. Upon review of the documentation submitted by the charter holder, board staff identified multiple compliance issues leading to marking the charter holder's operational dashboard and requiring submissions to bring the charter holder into compliance. The issues identified deficiencies in properly aligning its contractual mission statement with the operating mission statement and use at the school, maintaining compliant policies and processes related to enrollment, maintaining current compliant facility documentation, maintaining alignment between its contractual school governing body and the operating school governing body as listed in its meeting minutes, timely providing required amendments to board staff, displaying the statutorily required teacher salary posting, appropriately linking the statutory handbook of parental rights, appropriately linking the charter holder's performance dashboards on its website, displaying the school's public records request point of contact information, and displaying the annual budget posting on its website. Outside of the issues identified during the interval desk review, the charter holder was also out of compliance due to findings from the meeting minutes submitted with its grade level change to charter amendment request, which revealed that the charter holder's contractual board as listed with ASBCS online was out of alignment with its acting board as listed in its meeting minutes and the board on file with the Arizona Corporation Commission. As of today, the only outstanding issue relates to the charter holder's maintenance of facilities documentation, specifically a valid certificate of occupancy rated for educational use for the facilities. The facility that the school utilizes is a church, which was formerly a mission and hospital which predates the city of Phoenix. Over the past months since the interval desk review, the charter holder has worked with the city of Phoenix to obtain a certificate of occupancy, but needs to make necessary and extensive repairs to its fire alarm system before a permanent certificate of occupancy can be issued. The school currently has a temporary certificate of occupancy, which will allow them to use the facilities until January 1st, 2025, and give them time to make the necessary repairs.
Thanks.
I'm available for any questions.
I'm very sorry to interrupt. My name is Dr. Cindy Franklin, and I just wanted to thank the State Board for Charter Schools for allowing us to operate schools in Arizona since 1996. I would be there at the meeting in person. However, my husband and I were involved in an automobile accident, and we are currently at John C. Lincoln Hospital.
Thank you so much for letting us know. I will come right back to you, I promise. Board members, are there any questions for Cassie before we speak with a charter representative?
I have a quick question. You said they can't get a permanent certificate because of a fire alarm issue. What is being done in the meantime?
So they do have a temporary certificate of occupancy issued by the city of Phoenix. When that happens, typically what happens with a school is that the fire marshal will place them on what's called fire watch, which means essentially they have to have someone walk the building to kind of watch for any active concerns. And so they are able to be in the facility safely with students, and as long as they maintain that fire watch until that permanent C of O is issued once they've installed that voice activated fire alarm.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you.
All right.
I do have one.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
Vice President. So just to confirm, so all items have been brought into compliance, and the actual facility documentation, because of the fire marshal, I understand the fire watch thing and understand that process. That is also in compliance based on the date that is given.
That is correct. They are considered to be in compliance now, but they do have an additional submission for that final C of O once it's issued.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or clarification? All right. I welcome any charter representatives to either online or in person or both.
Excuse me, this is Dr. Franklin again. I thank you for your patience. We have already installed the voice-activated fire alarm system, and we are just awaiting our final inspection.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for letting us know.
Good morning, board members. My name is Dr. Kristen Good, and my colleague here, Mr. Osuna. We're here to represent Dr. Franklin. We weren't aware that she was going to be able to call in, so we're here to answer any questions you might have, but with her on the phone, we have her also.
Dr. Franklin, would you like to make any comments at all besides what the comments you've already made?
Not at this time. However, I do want to reiterate how blessed we are to be able to serve these children. We are so grateful that we have been able to help the children up in their Prescott Valley campus earn at least B rating this year, and Sunny Slope School was proud to be awarded an A rating. And we look forward to the privilege of continuing our mission down here.
Thank you so much. Board members, do we have any questions for anyone? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Board members, so one question I do have, do you feel that you're confident now that you have a role in the organization that is able to keep the compliance matters kind of top priority, that would be able to, complete all of those things on an annual basis? You do? Was she speaking? Okay.
Yes, we did.
So you have somebody designated for that role that you feel confident in, that annually you're going to be able to kind of take the checklist that the board gives. This board staff are great at that. They provide a checklist, but you feel like you're going to have somebody who's going to be able to have oversight of that annually.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's all I had.
Thank you.
A little bit of a follow-up to that question. Do you mind just speaking to it, right? So I run a small charter, and I understand like compliance sometimes has to go secondary to, what's happening in the moment and serving the students. But just based on the significant issues that you've had operationally, can you expand just a little bit on what that compliance oversight is going to look like? Like, is it one person? Have we put together like a compliance calendar? Anything to ensure success?
I think I can speak to that. One of the amendments that we had submitted that kind of got this whole process rolling was to actually appoint myself, Dr. Good, as the charter rep, which would allow me to represent the school on the website and do all the uploads, do all the monitoring, and that sort of thing. So that is something that I will take over but that amendment was put on hold until we could get the compliance issues addressed.
Thank you for being up to that challenge.
Do we have any questions from our board members online? Any of the board members? Oh,
Vice
go ahead.
President Montier, and again, you know, as I looked at the data, I mean, it was quite a list of things that were called out. Many of them are just updates to your website. I get that, but particularly properly aligning its contractual mission statement with the operating mission statement in use of the school. Can you describe what was the issue there and how you rectified that?
I'll be honest, a lot of it, and that too goes back to our website. We had a website crash 2 years ago and we weren't even aware of it until parents started calling in, letting us know this had happened. So we have since hired an IT team that is totally rebuilding our website. So we're slowly getting those compliance matters back up. And I think the mission statement not coinciding with where we were was part of that, because we were operating on what had been an old mission statement where we had updated it, but the website crash, everything wasn't matching at the time. But we do have that all rectified.
And I just want to ask
Thank
a
you.
follow-up. Oh, thank you. I just want to ask a follow-up question, both kind of sums up everything, I think. So is it my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that it sounds like there's a plan for maybe a shift in leadership or additional leadership? And if that is the plan, do we have a 2-year plan and a 5-year plan to see what that looks like, so that, you know, so there's more of a seamless transition to help avoid some of these compliance matters moving forward?
That's a good question. I represent our Prescott Valley School, but I also do the majority of the paperwork for the Sunny Slope School. So the site-based leadership, that's Mr. Osuna and Dr. Franklin. So I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Dr. Franklin, would you like to speak on that? I think we may have lost her.
Dr. Franklin, your mic's off.
Okay. So I'll speak on that. So to do that, we've delegated the position. So like we've said, we've gotten the IT team. We've got a new IT team to help keep the website up, to make sure we're compliant with our uploads and things like that. The charter board list, when we receive that, we have a team of administrators that will go through and kind of check off the boxes, make sure that we're compliant with everything. We are trying to adhere to all the findings and address them, so we can make sure we're compliant with that. We have the state fire marshal. We're just waiting for him to come in and provide us with his inspection, so that we can have the certificate of occupants, the permanent one.
And I think, thank you very much. And I think Dr. Franklin, your mic is on now? Oh. Dr. Franklin, you can, if you can unmute yourself, if you have some comment to make.
Tap to speak. Okay. Thank
There
you.
we are. Hi.
Sorry.
Again.
Hi. Yes. No, I've been listening to this, and both, Mr. Osuna and Dr. Good are correct. It was an error with our website, and we have hired a new IT company. We have employees constantly checking weekly for the teachers' weekly objectives and meeting notes, and making sure that everything is posted now in a timely manner. And we do have a 2-year plan. In 2 years, my husband and I anticipate in moving to a different role in the school. We are looking for a new superintendent, but we are confident right now, and thanks in a large part to the vigilance of the charter board, that we, have corrected our issues and we can move forward.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board?
Vice President Montier, thanks
Yes.
for the question. The data, the material that in the book references Dr. Franklin as still being the charter representative. So Dr. Goodyear now the current?
No, she is, she's being assigned many of the clerical duties as far as amendments. That has not been accepted yet by the board.
So that's on
We had
hold.
submitted that amendment, but we were asked to retract it until the compliance issues were taken care of.
Okay. I missed that. Sorry. Thank you.
Yes, so I'm still in charge, but I do need some help. I have some visual issues which affect my ability to function as well as I should on a computer.
Well, we hope that we'll be able to see you again in the future for those amendment requests.
Yes.
But in the meantime, if there are no other questions, no, I would just like to.
Eventually, it's gonna have to.
Is that okay? I would just like to say that on behalf of the board, thank you so much for working so hard to get all of those. That was a pretty lengthy list, and you did a great job getting it done. So congratulations. That's a testament to your diligence and willingness to work with the board staff, which is fantastic. And if there are no other questions or comments, then do we have a motion?
We do. Pull up a chair, everybody.
I'm ready.
I move to find that Franklin Phonetic Primary School, Inc., entity ID 92596, hereinafter referred to in this motion as the charter holder, has failed to meet the operational performance expectations set forth in the board's operational performance framework and has violated its charter contract and state and federal law. These failures and violations provide a sufficient basis to issue a notice of intent to revoke the charter holder's contract. However, the board is authorized to exercise its legal discretion with regard to actions taken against a charter holder that is not in compliance with its charter, other obligations to the board, and state and federal law. In an effort to bring the charter holder into compliance, the board directs staff to work with legal counsel to develop a consent agreement that addresses the charter holder's noncompliance with the board's operational performance expectations, its charters, and state and federal law, as identified in today's materials. The terms of the agreement shall be consistent with the terms set forth in previous consent agreements between the board and other charter holders for failures to comply with the board's operational performance expectations. I further move that the board authorize the board president to approve and sign the consent agreement executed by the charter holder without it being brought before the entire board for approval at a subsequent meeting. If the charter holder chooses not to accept the terms of the consent agreement developed by board staff and the board's legal counsel and an executed copy of the consent agreement, along with the governing board minutes approving the consent agreement, are not received by the date specified by board staff, then it is the board's decision that the charter holder be placed on a future agenda for a motion to issue a notice of intent to revoke the charter holder's charter contract for the reasons already specified.
All right, we had a lengthy motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Wonderful. Ashley, please.
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Miss Barr,
Aye.
Miss Foster,
I'm going to say aye, but I would also like to send speedy healing to the Franklin family in their accident, and glad that they're okay. Aye.
Miss Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to item J2. And I would just like to note that before Andrea presents, that each of these charters will be called up to speak individually. However, we will make one motion for all of the charters. And without further ado, Andrea, welcome.
Thank you. President Close, Vice President Montier, and members of the board. As was mentioned at the start of the meeting, Paul Revere Academy, Inc. has now submitted its audit to the board and therefore does not require your consideration today. State law requires charter schools to annually submit a financial audit and compliance questionnaire. For many of the board's charters, the audit is due 4.5 months after the end of the fiscal year or by November 15th. 96% of the fiscal year 2024 audits due November 15th were timely submitted to the board. The 4 remaining charter holders identified under this agenda item still have not submitted their audits. Today, the board may vote to withhold up to 10% of the charter holder's monthly state aid apportionment until a complete fiscal year 24 audit is submitted to the board. If the board decides to withhold funds, the withholding would begin with the charter holder's December 20th payment unless the board receives a complete audit by noon on December 10th. For a complete audit submitted after that timeframe, the withheld funds would be returned with the charter holder's next regularly scheduled payment. As was mentioned earlier as well, pursuant to state law, the charter school must be allowed to address the board before the board makes a final determination on whether to withhold funds. I'm available for questions, and I know all of the charters on the agenda have representatives either here in person or virtually.
Okay, any questions for Andrea regarding this motion as a whole? No? All right, then without further ado, do we have a representative from Academy del Sol?
I think it's afternoon. Good afternoon, board members. My name is Lynn Adams. I'm legal counsel for Academy del Sol. The charter representative could not be here today. I just want to say that Academy del Sol was on track to have its audit submitted on time. There have been a number of personnel changes at the school lately. And in addition, there were some issues that required the audit to be expanded. The scope of the audit needed to be expanded. And so they're continuing with the audit. They're moving forward. They hope to have it done. I wrote down the December 10th at noon deadline. Hopefully it will be completed by then. But certainly, like I said, we're just going through the process, cooperating with the auditors fully, and we'll get it submitted as soon as possible. We apologize. I hate being in one of the 4%. So thank you. Yes, exactly. A 4% of A's,
Yes,
maybe something like
4%.
that. That would be great.
Depends on the 4%.
Exactly.
Any questions from the board? No? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Heritage Academy? Online?
Yes. Hi, can you hear me okay?
Hi. Yes, we can. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you for letting me address the board. With Heritage Academy Point, we do expect the audit to be in by the end of next week. Just to get right to the bottom line, we do apologize for the delay. We don't typically miss our audit deadlines. We did have on the auditor side some of the talent that we were promised didn't come in on time. Plus, there was also some additional requirements relative to some of the first year transactions that required like a building appraisal, and that took an extended amount of time. We were told it would be 1 to 2 weeks. It turned out to be 4 to 6 weeks. A couple little details like that, but bottom line, we know that there's a draft that's pretty much complete and anticipate submission by the end of next week, no later.
Thank you. Board members, questions? Okay. And New Learning Ventures. Also online?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey guys, Andrew Collins. I'm the executive director and authorized representative for New Learning Ventures. Similar to Jared, apologize for you even having to have us on the agenda today. This is our 6th year of operation. We've never been late on our audit. We take it very seriously. We've been in deep communications with our auditor, and we do expect to have it done before the December 10th deadline. We've been waiting on some information from our bond investors, which we actually coincidentally received today. And so we anticipate being able to have it submitted before that December 10th deadline.
Thank you. Board members, questions? All right, and Southern Arizona Community Academy. Can you hit your microphone, please? Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My name is Abelardo Cubillas. I'm from Southern Arizona Community Academy, and you never think to be in this position after 26 years, but here we are. And the reason for that is that the audit company that was going to do our audit pulled out the last minute. Why? Maybe I let them know they didn't do a good job last year. But anyway, it took a while to find a firm that was able to do the audit, and we were fortunate to find Price Kong CPAs. And Troy Griffith is the CPA that is overseeing our audit, and he can pretty much tell you when our audit will be submitted. Correct?
Sure. Yeah, like a lot of said, we were engaged, I believe, early October to do the audit. And as is common with accounting firms, we were very busy and had a full schedule, so we weren't able to begin the audit until early November. And of course, to do a good audit, we're not going to be able to get it done in 2 weeks. So we're in process, but we do anticipate getting done before December 10th, shooting for December 6th, I believe is that Friday. So we're in process. Things are going well, but we just got engaged late is really what it came down to.
Okay.
December 6th is what I'm thinking, but certainly before December 10th.
Questions from the board? No? Online? No? Okay. Then do we have a motion?
President.
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Board members, this is mainly administrative question because this is the first process that I have been a part of this. I just wanted to ask a couple administrative type of questions if I could. So the withholding of payment for the first payment is December 20th. Is that what was mentioned?
That's correct.
Okay. So if audits are submitted prior to that date, then even if the motion is passed and approved today, does the payment, the deduction for the December 20th payment still go through and then it doesn't subsequently after that? Or how does that look administratively?
Yeah, so if we receive the audit by noon on December 10th, no withholding will occur.
Okay.
If we receive the audit after that, then the withholding will start with the December payment. Once we've received a complete audit, we will notify ADE to return the funds with the next payment. So in January, if we don't get the audit, the withholding will then continue.
Thank you. I appreciate you answering that since I'm new to this. So thank you.
That's a great question. Thank you for asking. I'm sure it was probably on everyone else's minds as well. Okay. Any other questions? All right.
Yes, we have a motion.
We do have a motion.
Sorry.
got you.
I moved to find that Academy del Sol, Inc., Heritage Academy Point, Inc., New Learning Ventures, Inc., and Southern Arizona Community Academy, Inc. are not in compliance with state law and that the charter contract due to their failure to timely submit the fiscal year 2024 annual financial audit and to approve withholding 10% of the charter holders' monthly state and apportionment until a complete fiscal year 2024 annual financial audit is submitted to the board.
All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Schley.
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Miss Barr,
Aye.
Miss Foster,
Aye.
Miss Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Just a comment. I know things happen and this is one of this and fingerprints are the ones that irritate me the most, but I get it. And I appreciate that everyone's working diligently on this. I vote aye.
President Close,
Aye.
motion passes.
All right. Thank you very much. And I echo Member Swanson's comment. Moving on to item J3A. And Andrea, that's you again.
City Center for Collaborative Learning still has not submitted their fiscal year 2024 audit. The Arizona State Board of Accountancy placed the audit firm that the charter holder planned to use for the fiscal year 24 audit on probation. This action by the accountancy board necessitated that the charter holder engage another auditor to conduct the audit and resulted in the charter holder's failure to timely submit the audit. The meeting materials include additional information regarding this situation. Pursuant to state law, the charter school must be allowed to address the board before the board makes a final determination on whether to withhold funds. I am available for questions and the charter representative is available virtually.
Any questions for Andrea? All right. We are ready for the
Charter Representative.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for giving me a few minutes to address you all. I'm Chad Blair, Executive Director of City Center for Collaborative Learning in Tucson, Arizona. As Ms. Leader stated, on October 18th, we were informed that the auditor that we had enlisted, Mara Mann, would not be able to complete our audit. So we were moved under the umbrella of a new auditor on October 18th. On October 20th, our engagement letters were submitted. Mara Mann was still conducting everyone's audit under the umbrella of the license of Henry Fortino, and was working to complete, I believe, 13 audits in that compressed amount of time. I believe that she was able to complete a number of them, many of them at the very last minute. She was not able to complete ours. And there's some extenuating circumstances for that as well. Ms. Mann informed us that she was saving ours to last because we, for half of the fiscal year last year, were using an accounting program, Fund EZ, that she was not familiar with, and all of her other clients were using QuickBooks. We have since switched to QuickBooks, so she was saving us to last. We were informed let me check my dates here. Even just last week, she told us a week ahead of the deadline that she would not be able to complete our audit. We had all of our files uploaded to her cloud in ample time for her to work with us, and she just chose to save us to the last and ran out of time. We had to switch to a new auditor this year, and so this would have been Mara Mann's first year working with us. We previously have not been late on any audits, and in fact have submitted perfectly clean audits the last 3 years with absolutely zero findings. Unfortunately, this series of events led to us not completing the audit on time. We are still engaged with Ms. Mann, and our Director of Finance is working very closely with her. And we also expect to have our audit completed by December 6th.
Board members, any questions? This is obviously a unique circumstance, and we are very sorry that you had to go through this. So it sounds like you did everything right. And with that, do we have a motion?
Vice President Monteith, I do have a motion. Based on the information shared with the board as part of this agenda item, I move to postpone to the December meeting the board's consideration of City Center for Collaborative Learning.
Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
All right, Ashley.
Vice President Monteith,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Yes.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Appreciate it.
Moving on to item K, Andrea again, financial framework.
President Close, Vice President Monteith, members of the board. In February 2024, the board approved changes to the financial performance framework. During its August 2024 meeting, the board directed staff to solicit public comment on proposed changes to the February framework's average daily membership and adjusted net income measures. Staff proposes the board implement the changes to the average daily membership measure with the fiscal year 2024 audits. Staff proposes the board implement the changes to the adjusted net income measure with the fiscal year 2025 audits. During the first opportunity for public comment, which closed on September 3rd, No written comments were received. Today's meeting provides a second opportunity for public comment, and I'm available for questions.
Board members, any questions? No? On behalf of the board, Andrea, thank you so much for all of your hard work. It was, yeah, pretty epic. So it is very much appreciated. And with that, are we making a motion? We are. Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Vice President Montier, I have a motion. I move to adopt the changes to the financial performance frameworks, average daily membership measure, and adjusted net income measure found in the board materials and presented today, and direct staff to make necessary changes to other relevant documents to reflect the board's action at this meeting. I further move that the changes to the average daily membership measure be implemented with the fiscal year 2024 audits, and that the changes to the adjusted net income measure be implemented with the fiscal year 2025 audits.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Wonderful. Ashley.
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Miss Barr,
Aye.
Miss Foster,
Aye.
Miss Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Right. Summary of current events, future meeting dates, and items for future agendas.
I want to give you all an update as to our future meeting dates because they're different than what we've had in past years. You've all been informed and you voted on this, but it's, again, another reminder. Our next board meeting is December 16th. That is our typical date in which we usually have board meetings on a Monday. But then going forward into next year, we will be meeting on the first Tuesday of every month. And the next meeting would be January 7th. So right after the holidays. It'll be fun to come back together. But it will be first Tuesdays going forward and at 10 a.m.
Can I just confirm real quick? That's not including April. It's on the 1st of April? Or is my
April
phone
Fools.
incorrect? Well, I didn't want to make the joke, but.
It is the first Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Right? First.
Yep. Nope. Thank you. I
No, not a joke. Yes, it is. April 1st is.
I wasn't trying to imply that I thought you were joking. I just wanted to make sure my calendar was correct.
Yes, yes, yeah. First Tuesday of the month going forward at 10 a.m.
Okay. All right.
Vice President.
Yes,
Can I,
absolutely.
on future agenda items, I actually had two questions. I don't know what our normal timeline would be for sort of reviewing how these audits fall out on the financial framework, but was hoping that when we do, we could look at a few comparison metrics. And a thank you again to Member Swanson and Member Ruiz for helping me to revise that framework recently with so much support from Andrea, but I think it'd be very interesting for our committee, the board and the charter community to maybe see how those changes affected the metrics. I don't want to create more work, but both of my requests today might create a little bit more work. I'm so sorry. So that was request one. And then also it came up today with ALA, but it's come up several times when we're looking at more of our charter networks, sort of that national impact. So I didn't know, I realized there probably isn't a deep data like we do with the Arizona Dive, but if perhaps there could be a small national summary data, if other board members think that would be helpful when reviewing expansion requests and things like that.
Absolutely. Yes. Great minds. And yes, thank you also to the committee as well. I know that Andrea presented everything, but that was pretty tough work on everybody's part. So nice job, everybody. Yeah.
Vice President Montier.
Yes, sir.
Since Wendy brought up future agenda items. I talked to Ashley briefly about this, but I thought it would be good to maybe hear from the Charter Association, Jake, on charter schools and ESAs and what has happened and what is the impact on the charter environment and what the future looks like for that as well. Thank you.
To all of those points, we absolutely can. Member Swanson already talked to the association. They're ready to present at the December meeting on enrollment trends that we have seen in the past and potentially projections going forward. And then to Member Miller, absolutely, we can provide additional information going forward about network performance outside the state and their impact. And then we'll also bring back, and true to Andrea and all the amazing work that she does, being epic, we will make sure to provide that comparison or information to you at a future date.
Anyone else? No? Okay, well then with that, I think our meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Great. Jessica. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Hans,
Stay
for
safe.
future meetings, you have to attend all of them.
Drive safely, Hans. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.